Hello everyone, welcome back to some sea rares with Lily. I know I haven't done it in a while, but this little thing is the reason why she's been taking up my whole life. But finally she's calmed down a little bit and stopped barking. So I'm going to be doing a sea rares, hooray! There are 3 games up for today: Titan vs Mineski, Scythe vs LGD.CDC, and Ari vs Orange, and these are all for the Corsair Asia Cup. So the first game is Titan vs Mineski, and wow, Mineski vs Titan is a legendary matchup. In the past, at the finale of most big lands within the Southeast Asian scene, these two teams went head-to-head with differing results over and over again. However, times have changed, and there are many other teams making their way into the finals, and while Titan are often still holding a first or second position, it's Mineski's fallen from grace. The bets are going in favour of Titan with good reason. Mineski, as always, are unreliable. Maybe big things were expected after the lineup change, but it appears the team that got the better end of the stick is Execration 2, who gained Joven and Jules, rather than Mineski, who dropped them in favour of keeping Gio and Oa and getting Inna into the lineup. Recently, Jay also has been AWOL, with Jules subbing in for him, but he recently returned to the team against Zephyr. So since the lineup change, Mineski have had the standard mixed results. They did beat out Zephyr 2-0 to reach this slot in the upper bracket. Cutie pie. The upper bracket semi-final, and in those 2 games they played incredibly strong and shut down Zephyr at every corner. However, there were some extraneous factors that would have influenced both Zephyr's play as well as Mineski's, such as huge delays, as seems to always happen with Mineski. It was a 2-hour delay from the game time, leading to Zephyr being tired from waiting while Mineski played out their match against Pokerface. And that's not to say Mineski did not perform. Jay did fantastic roaming Nagasari in the second game, and all of Mineski just played the kite game against Corey's hugely farm Alchemist. He was 6-slotted at around about 30 minutes, but it meant absolutely nothing when he couldn't actually hit anyone. So whether Titan will fall for these tricks is another question. And I do expect Mineski to take at least a game off of Titan, but whether they can win 2 out of 3 is another question completely. As much of a fan of the Pinoys as I am, Titan at the moment are the stronger team, and they're a lot more stable. Perhaps Mineski have been stewing up a strategy designed to take them down, but given their roster issues, I sort of doubt it. In addition to this, Mineski did verse Titan a mere 3 days ago in the Gosu Cup, and they lost. And this was Titan playing without Yamato. They had Link subbing in. Titan themselves have been switching up a little bit lately. In the most recent game, we have been seeing Titan running KYXY in the mid lane and Yamato in the farming lane. I'm not too sure the reason behind the change, but it is nice to see some flexibility coming out from these players. Back in Orange with Mushi, KYXY and Mushi frequently used to change roles, depending on the hero, and it definitely worked out well for them, as it made their lanes hard to predict. All in all, I would be betting on Titan, but hardcore Mineski fans could put their money on their favourite team, as they are, if they are on their A game, I wouldn't count them out. The second matchup is Scythe vs LGD.CDC. Scythe, the classic team with Miracle, was knocked into the lower bracket by Invasion. Surprising to some, but I was honestly suspecting the aggressive early game playstyle of Invasion would counteract the more defensive and farming oriented play that we often see from Scythe. This is a best of 1, so anything goes. Bets are heavily favouring the Southeast Asian favourites of Scythe, but I don't know. It's worth mentioning as well that Scythe did beat out LGD.CDC a few days ago in the Gosu Cup. But who is LGD.CDC? Sporting the well-known sponsor of LGD, it would seem that they should be a dominant team. However, they are recently formed by Maybe, a famous pub stomper from the CDEC, Chinese Dota elite community, a place where the best of the best from the Chinese scene verse each other to improve their abilities and gain fame. Following Maybe is 333 from HTT and Garda from New Element. XH and HHH round out the roster. Players with some professional experience, but they are relatively new to the competitive scene, and while they are known for amazing plays in pubs, playing within an actual team is a different environment, and they haven't yet shown amazing results. So how, on the whole, has their team fared thus far? Well, they were knocked into the lower bracket by MVP Phoenix in a 1-2 in a best-of-3 series. MVP definitely are a strong team, but people were expecting more from the debut of this new team. They've got an invite spot in the TFL qualifiers, however, so I'm sure LGD, CDEC are putting on their serious hats and are now ready to go. Scythe, on the other hand, have been switching things up constantly in their roster. Similar to Titan, they do the oldie switcheroo with Miracle, Chibi, and Polason, constantly changing roles and dropping, and depending on the heroes picked. While this does work out well sometimes, it also causes them to drop games against teams like Invasion. While Miracle definitely has got the ability to have an early game presence, he performs best on a carry role. He tends to either overextend or play too conservatively, and occasionally from my experience, only occasionally does he manage to find a balance that brings his team to victory. I feel Scythe do perform best as well when Chibi is playing on a semi-support, such as a Marana or an Enigma, purely because he is such an incredibly strong player that even when he's on a support role, he still manages to find enough farm from either kills or creeps that he can have a huge impact on the game, more so than he would if he was playing a 5-position support like Crystal Maiden. Against Arrow in Scythe's most recent games, they did run back to their traditional roles, Polisson in mid, Miracle on carry, and Chibi on support, so maybe they've just been testing the water against teams they think they see as weaker and have decided to switch, against switching the lineup. They do have to watch out though, as maybe is a very snowball-oriented player in the mid lane, and I believe if they give an inch, he will take a mile. But like I said, it's a best of one, so I think Scythe will be aiming for their standard lineup, maybe even grabbing a super safe Nagasiren for Miracle, but if they do opt for something different, LGD.CDC may be the ones to knock them out of the game. Scythe should have this, but as always, it's only after the draft you can really tell. The last game is Orange versus Arrow, and this should be a good one. Odds are favouring Arrow, and probably with good reason. Orange's lose streak is finally over, but they have not beaten a Tier 1 team in a while, only beating Tier 2 teams such as New Element, Evolus, and RRQ of late. They did manage to take a game off of Titan in the WD Dota 2 Pro Series 2 weeks ago due to some amazing plays from Ysera on the Shadow Fiend, but on the whole the results are unstable, similar to the rest of the Southeast Asian scene. Arrow is still looking pretty strong. They beat Titan in a best of 1 3 days ago, however they did lose 2 whole series to Scythe. So what does this mean exactly? Well, in my opinion, not too much. Scythe are one of the stronger teams in the Southeast Asian region, and while Arrow do tend to play aggressive in the early game, in those games versus Scythe they tended to wage a bit of a farm war, and they didn't apply enough pressure onto Scythe to shut them down. I honestly believe Scythe are the best players in Southeast Asia at the moment at the late game, and if you want to beat them, you have to go for the early game. The only time I personally have seen them lose is when we had Jules playing a Spectre, and that was pretty much the only time I've ever seen Scythe lose the late game. Fail to do this, and you will lose more often than win. This is the best of 3 as well, so there is some wiggle room. On the whole though, I'll put my res on Arrow, and as much as I like Orange and I wish the best of them, they are pretty unstable and their results are as inconsistent as Mineski's. They have a lot of work to do before the Southeast Asian qualifies for TI4, and they're running out of time. If they can win this series tonight, I will have high hopes for them in the C qualifiers, but at the moment, things are looking grim. Either way, that's it for today. I'm glad I finally had time to do some of these videos. Thanks for watching, good luck with your res, and I'll see you tonight for these games. If you want to know where to find them, Arrow vs Orange and Titan vs Mineski is going to be cast by me and Berkeley on twitch.tv/Corsair Asia Cup, and LGD.CDC versus Scythe is going to be cast by Blaze on dota2wage. There are a couple of other games that aren't mentioned in the betting scene that also could be worth watching. We're going to have Garuda Infinity versus Game TV, that's going to be cast by Dota2TV3. First Departure versus Mecha TT Esports, Dota2TV3, and Execration 2 versus Zero Latitude. And if you've got the time, I would definitely recommend checking out Execration 2 versus Zero Latitude. That's going to be on Dota2TV2 by Blaze, and both of those teams play really, really fun matches, so that would be the kind of game you'd be expecting 40 kills by the 10-minute mark type thing. Either way, thanks for watching. Stop eating things. Bye. Mwah.